Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Barbie Dolls of the Week. This week we're going to talk about a topic that I've heard around quite a bit lately on different Facebook groups and just in chatter that I'm hearing. And I can understand why. And that is, what is happening with the Playline Barbie now versus in the past? Now, as you may know, or if you don't know, my main focus of Barbie collecting is the 80s and the adult collector line for today, or things like that in the middle of those two. There have been a lot of good dolls produced over the years, and the play line is where most of us got started as far as collecting Barbie. I mean, there was no adult collector line back then, and even if there had been, probably couldn't have afforded it, and or maybe had access to it, especially without the internet. So what I want to do is look at some examples of course, what I have, dolls from the 80s, and just talk about some of the dolls from today, because I mean, I don't have collector line dolls from today, excuse me, play line dolls from today, except some that I like but that are not good examples of what we're going to talk about. The chatter is that the play line is not at all what it was in the 80s, maybe even the 90s or 2000s. But today the play line is really suffering, the sales are down, and there's not a lot of excitement. And honestly, had this been the play line that was happening in the 80s, I don't think I would have started collecting Barbie. And that's just the truth. Because when I go down the Barbie aisle in a store today, first of all, there's not the glamour, there's not the imagination, and there's not as much variety. I mean, back then it was like you'd go to in Children's Palace or Toys R Us or Sears for that matter, where I worked, and you could see a lot of different dolls and a lot of different types of outfits and settings and situations, and it was just, to me, exciting. So, with that in mind, I want to show a few dolls from that era that I think are really good examples of why the playline was exciting at that point. And I'm going to start with this doll, which I'm sure a lot of you know, which is, of course, Pink and Pretty. And, this is a doll that's certainly not perfect at this point, so many years later, but it's in pretty good condition. And, one of the things is that sagging in the front that, is always an issue, at least for dolls that have been sitting quite a bit. And the hair's been redone, of course, but looks pretty good. This outfit probably could use a cleaning, but it has been cleaned before. But anyway, just looking at the doll, I mean, look at this, is a lot of, to me, glamour and all these different pieces that came with it. This isn't all of them. It's just exquisite in a way. It's got such timeless charm, I think. And that's one of the things I really like about it. The jewelry is nice, big, but nice. And, of course, they don't make this type of quality in the dolls anymore, I don't think, as far as Playline. We're focusing on Playline. Here's another one that I always thought was a kind of underrated doll, and it's not even one of my favorites of the 80s dolls, but I like it. And that's Angel Face Barbie. And, I think this one always reminded me of a school marm for some reason. I think it's the outfit. But, it's just another example of something that was a nice doll and has a lot of interest to it. I mean, even though it's not my favorite, I still like it a lot, and I think the outfit has a charm again that is, it just reminds me of an old-fashioned look. Anyway, I like it, and it's a great doll. And then there's this one, whose hair has been restyled. And this is, of course, Loving You Barbie, and she also has a new necklace that I don't know if she had one or not originally. I'd have to look, probably. But she has her earrings that were with the original outfit, and she's in pretty good condition. I've had at least two dolls from the 80s that over the years a leg would break off or something like that, and I had to replace it. So luckily I had a body that I could use to do that. But again, the poofy sleeves and this great bodice here, it's just a really interesting doll. I really like this doll. It is one of my favorites from that time period, but one thing I'm not crazy about is all the hearts. I understand why it's there since it's Loving You Barbie, but I thought it was a bit of overkill. However, looking at the doll as a whole, I just think it's great. I think, I don't know, maybe it's because this is when I grew up with the dolls, sort of. But I think they were at their best in the 80s. I really do. Now, one thing I want to address, that this was a question that was asked to me in the comments of one of my recent videos, and that is that some of the old dolls have, in this case, I think the person was just talking about a spot. And if that's true, really, they're lucky that it's just a spot. Why do some dolls get spots on their legs? And that's something I'm going to look up. But I want to show you a couple examples of what we're talking about if you're not familiar. So here I have this Midge doll, and she's in pretty good condition. And hasn't seemed to had a whole lot of I don't know, abuse over the years by whoever had her. Her face still looks really good. The makeup is clean, clear. Looks like it did originally, I'm sure. And she has an outfit that I put her in, by the way, which is a one from back in that time. But look at her legs in the back especially, and I'm sure you can see this. See those spots? And they're on the front too. It's not just the back. They're darker or more noticeable in some areas. And as far as why that happens, I'm sure it's something that's happening in the plastic or the material, the rubber. But I'm going to have to look it up and see what the exact reason is. To me, it really doesn't take away from liking the doll. I mean, some people have spots or imperfections or things, so it's okay. But it does interest me to why it happens to certain dolls and not, for instance, these other three I just showed you. None of them have spots on their legs, and most of the dolls don't. There's just a few that do. I want to show you another example. Here's Peaches and Cream Barbie. Or no, I'm sorry. Not Peaches and Cream. This is PJ, of course, but Sweet Rose is PJ is what I'm trying to say. She doesn't have any. Here's her legs, clear. She actually does have a leg that's, I don't know if you can tell, but her legs are not quite right. One is sort of bent. The foot is even a little bent. And so it doesn't sit quite right. It's curved. You can see it more from the front, maybe. Let me pull that up. But yeah, it's just not laying straight or being straight. So anyway, that's her defect. But other than that, she's looking good. And then this one was an example just of someone that doesn't have any defects from that time period. I don't know, by the way, if this, I think this is a Mattel dress, but I'm not positive. I've looked so many up, I can't keep track of them sometimes, and it might be, but anyway, it's in good shape. It's just a kind of pull up dress. Now this has a few, I mean, as far as the legs are pretty straight, there are no spots on them. I do notice now that I say it, I guess she's not quite perfect either because her foot is a little bent here. But other than that, it's pretty good. So yeah, it's kind of a curious question why some of the dolls get it and some don't, those spots. But I think part of it could be where they were made or the material that was used. One other one I want to show you with this spot issue, and that is this doll. Now this doll is actually still in the box, has been in the box the whole time since the 80s. This is from 87, and it's the Becky doll from Barbie and the Sensations, which was a great group from the 50s kind of group. Now, this is one that you can actually slip it out. I don't know if I did that or it came that way, but and the spots are really evident on this doll. So it's not just dolls that are kept out of the box. Sometimes it's dolls in the box. I also am not sure if the sun has anything to do with it, but anyway, that's a question I'm going to look into. And if anybody has any comments on why, please feel free to answer in the comments. Now, back to the Playline of today. When you look at dolls like the 6 or so that I just showed, and the ones that we've talked about before, like Peaches and Cream and Crystal Barbie, and especially Day to Night and Magic Curl, I mean, the variety was amazing, and we're talking about in just, in one time period of Barbie. But today, when you go to the store and you look at the Playline dolls, to me it's kind of depressing because you see a lot of ballerinas and princesses and things like that, and some that are like career type dolls, but not the ones from the past. And they all sort of look alike in a way. Also, there's something I want to address, and that is we've talked about before that over the years, the Ken dolls have gone from looking like a man to a teenage boy at best, if not a prepubescent boy. And I don't like that. And now it seems like they're doing that to Barbie because some of the latest Beach Barbies I've seen, they don't even look like Barbie. They look like one of her younger sisters maybe, but they don't look like Barbie. And I mean, they're really making the face look different. And I think for years the face has been very distinctive, although there have been different face molds. You could tell when something was a Barbie. I could go into a store, and if I saw a clone doll, believe me, I knew it wasn't a Barbie like that. And it was because of the face and sometimes other things, and because it didn't say Barbie usually, but the face is to me what gave it away. And let me show you a couple quick examples of what I mean. So this is Barbie as one of the Marilyn dolls, and yes, it does look like Marilyn to an extent, but I can look at this and see Barbie in it as well. And that's why when I talked about this in a video, I said, to me, it's a good blend of Marilyn and Barbie because I think you can see the Barbie inspiration, and almost to me a little bit more than the Marilyn. I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I think. But I do think it's a really good combination of the two. The other one is the Dorothy doll. This is the first Dorothy they did. Barbie as Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, as Hollywood Legends collection. And, again, this was Barbie as Dorothy, not just Dorothy doll. And so you can definitely see the Barbie in the face, I think. But now, when you see an actual Barbie doll and she's not even supposed to be somebody else, it's hard sometimes to tell that that's Barbie on these really new dolls. And I think that's sad. I think Barbie should look like Barbie and not her little sister or some clone doll. And to me, some of them are starting to look like a clone doll. Now, that's not the majority of the Playline dolls, but it's just, one or two that I've seen so far. But it seems like maybe that's the direction they're going with this. They're trying to make it look younger. They're trying to make it look more like, I don't know, Bratz or something, that's popular these days, when Barbie should look like Barbie. And I realize that Barbie has changed a lot over the years, and that's okay. But for 20, 30 years or more, she's had the Barbie look that we're familiar with. So I think that one of the things that's hurting the Playline so much is the quality, first of all, and the lack of diversity of the types of dolls. And also, I hear a lot of people talking about the flexibility of the bodies, which isn't as important to me. I've never felt like that was such a big deal because I was so used to dolls that weren't that flexible, except maybe in the legs. And so the bendy bodies I'm not that into, and I don't mean literally bendy, but more flexible, where you can see the hinges and so forth. That's just not something I care for. But I know that people feel strongly about that, and if they really like those bodies, then they're not happy when Barbie suddenly, in the fashionistas or in the Life in the House dolls, they're not flexible anymore. They're using just plastic joints or limbs that don't bend or flex. And also I'm hearing some of them are actually hollow plastic, like clone dolls have been for years, or at least some clone dolls. So Mattel's going to have to really watch it. I know I also heard a lot of people say they're not going to renew, for instance, their Barbie fan club membership because they're unhappy with the quality of the dolls. I personally did renew mine this year. This is only the second year I've been one after 30-something years of collecting. But the only reason I did was because it's only $25 and you get $80 to use, $20 each quarter of the year. So to me, that's worth it. Because the Barbie look dolls alone are worth that. And, I can get them basically free that way, or well, $25 for 4. So I think that's a good deal. So I did renew my membership, but if it was based on the Playline alone, no way in hell would I do it, because it's just not that exciting. It's not like when you walked into a Barbie aisle, which sometimes, by the way, was 2 sides, not just one. Now Barbie doesn't even have a full aisle to herself in the store. She has maybe half an aisle. And that right there tells you something, because there used to be 2, 3 aisles, and I mean 2 sides of one aisle and another side, or part of another side of another aisle, when it was really going strong. And I don't know what all they've done over the years, but obviously there's a lot of competition with other dolls like Monster High and let's see, American Girl and Everlast, although some of them aren't direct competition. But I'm just saying there's a lot of dolls that they're going to really have to watch it. And I think there's so many things they could do. And I personally wish that they would, if they're going to have a play line like they have today, scale it way down and bring some of the nice dolls into the stores. Like, for instance, Target will have sometimes the Look dolls, Barbie the Look, but I never see those at Meijer. And Meijer, which I shop at a lot for groceries, doesn't have that many Barbies anyway. Like I said, about a half an aisle and one side of half an aisle. But it only has the Playline. It doesn't have any adult collector except around the holidays, when, of course, the holiday Barbie was available. But yeah, it's really, really lacking. And so there's a lot that Mattel could do to address it, but I don't know if they quite get it. So I hope they do. I hope this is a better year for Barbie, but yeah, this is not, certainly in my opinion, not the best decade of Barbie at all. And I hope it gets better. So with that, I'm going to close, and we'll see you next time on Barbie Dolls of the Week. Take care.